Hi, it's Carrie Jeske here, and I wanted to talk with you a little bit about the pickleball industry because I just had the most wonderful call with an old friend of mine, one of my first pickleball trainers who's been in the industry for quite some time, and he really opened up my eyes and shared a lot of great information about the battle of the billionaires in the pickleball industry. So I wanted to share a little bit about that now, and here's basically where we started. I asked him who are the most progressive companies in the pickleball industry and who are the companies most open to innovation. And we started talking about paddle manufacturers, and he said there's actually hundreds of new paddle manufacturers that are out there. Over 400 USAP approved paddle vendors now, but the bulk of the sales come from only a handful of innovators that are known for being the top providers of paddles. There's a lot of information with new materials, and this is an inventing technique of mine that I've shared on other videos. And the inventing technique is about new materials. Anytime you have a new industry, like what Tupperware was to the microwave, what silicone was to the cooking industry, now you have new materials that people are using to make paddles, and these materials are emerging and changing. Everybody's wanting more power, so now you have carbon fiber. You have a thing called thermo foam in the guts of the paddle. There's a company called Diadem Vice that has holes in their paddle. So there's a lot of innovation with pickleball paddles related to the materials being used. This is an opportunity. All of these new materials are sourced from the same plants in China. And so that's something to know. There might be other places, other opportunities for materials. I'm not going to go through the 5 list of best companies because that's my proprietary information when I work with people, but Google it. I'm sure you can find the top best companies out there if you want to do it on your own. So I asked who sells training aids because I'm getting a lot of product submissions about pickleball training aids. And there really are not any great central manufacturers that are licensing training aids right now. A lot of the training aids are being done by individual inventors who are going to China, buying the boatload full, the slow boat from China, I call it, garage full of them, and then building a business, doing venturing, building a small business with the products that they have. And so that's where the majority of training aids are coming from now. So I think there is opportunity for someone to build a business, maybe harnessing these training aids, and certainly there is opportunity to sell these training aids through the many online sales providers that you can find. There's drop ship opportunities as well as selling at wholesale rates for training aids, but it's a little bit different than a licensing play right now. So you might need to go into business if that's what you've got. Or maybe there's a way we can combine different people with training aids and merge into a more powerful company that could dominate the training industry space. So that's something I'm keeping an eye on too. If there's people that I meet, if there's ways to connect others, that would be great. So I asked about the history of pickleball because I read an article in either Sports Illustrated or somewhere about the battle of the billionaires. And I find that interesting because pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America. And anytime you have a fast growing sport and you have billionaires coming into it, there's money to be made. And if there's money to be made, I'd like to have a slice of that pie, as I'm sure you would. That's why you're watching. So I want to know, what is the history and who are these billionaires and what's going on? So I got a really great education about that. Basically, the newly branded overseeing governing body of pickleball is now called USA Pickleball. They're the U.S. governing body. Within that, there are 3 big players that have various pieces of the pie and are in a kind of a competitive battle to dominate and own the rules and of the sport. And so the first one is a guy named Ken Herman, who is the APP Tour. In pickleball, you have 2 tours. You have the APP Tour and the PPA Tour. These are both big tours. So on the APP side, you've got Ken Herman. On the PPA side, you've got Tom Dundon, who's a rival to Ken. Those are the 2 main tours. Tom Dunn also came in and bought up the PPA tournament. He bought up an online seller called Pickleball Central, which is the largest seller of pickleball products. And he also bought up pickleballtournaments.com, which has a software that schedules and organizes pickleball tournaments. So he came in a big way and bought, he bought some product distribution, he bought tours, which gives him access to the pros, and he bought the way to schedule, which gives him access to the players. And so that was a really smart move on his site, on his part. And then he went and he locked up the top 60 pros in the market and paid them an appearance fee to only come to his pros, so that his tours. So that left the other two people kind of high and dry for how to get the credibility of a pro, and that was very aggressive and smart of him. On the other side, the other billionaire who I'm told is a really nice guy is Steve Kuhn. And he started a thing called Duper. And Duper is a new way of doing tournaments and keeping ratings for players. So he's got Duper and MLP, which is Major League Pickleball. And that's some of the first leagues for pros to play in. So that's his thing. Now there is, I'm told, some lawsuits between Duper and a company called Universal Tennis claiming that Duper copied their formulary for rating players, and that is either going to settle or playing out now in some way. So let's see, what else can I say? At one point, the two billionaires, Tom Dunn and Steve Kuhn, decided to work together because they realized they were kind of stalemating each other, or maybe they found that it would be better to work together. And so they've kind of joined forces lately. And now those pros are allowed to play in the PPA tournaments and in the MLP's tournament. So they're kind of joining forces in some way. What Ken Herman has done, the third billionaire, is he's now, because he's been basically cut out of the top pro circuit, he can't get anyone to help. He's gone and created a big deal with Universal Tennis, which is the largest supplier, one of the big global suppliers of tennis. Here's the issue with pickleball right now. These tournaments are getting really expensive. It used to be that you went for free. Now the last one I went to with my sister, who's entry-level pro, a starter pro, I got to pay $50 a person to get into in Las Vegas, and that's pretty pricey to get into a pickleball tournament as a spectator. So they're still losing money. So it's not a strong business right now. These guys are banking on the fact that it is the fastest growing sport. Here's the big question, though. Is pickleball a spectator sport? That's the big question, because with tennis and any other sport where you see big money sponsors coming in, they're high spectator sports. What we don't know is pickleball going to prove out to be a spectator sport where these big sponsors can get money? Currently, it's not. It is a little bit easier to play, and so you have a lot of people that really enjoy playing it, but do they enjoy watching it? And are they willing to watch it? So right now, if you go online, you'll see a lot of the pros and wannabe pros coming up with these little training YouTube channels and video channels, and they're all in a quest to get viewers. And then you'll also see things like the billionaires buying airtime and doing majorly funded live stream events, even getting on network time, buying network time with CBS, ABC. But if you look at the viewers, which the person that was my expert for this video is actively looking at all this information, and he said at any given time there's only a few thousand people watching the show. So that's not nearly enough to get the attention of big companies like Procter & Gamble or other large money sponsors that want to connect with a big audience. So pickleball, there is an opportunity there. It's definitely emerging and it's fast growing, but how is that opportunity going to play out is to be determined. If you have questions, please comment. If you'd like to reach out, if you have a product that you'd like to license, or if you're looking for a consultant in the pickleball industry, I can refer you to my friend. And good luck. I look forward to working with you and seeing your success with your pickleball product sales and your pickleball licensing endeavors.